and thank you for coming today. My name is Ernest Fellow, and I am so pleased to be here with all of you today. I am the company spokesman for Spectre Energy. We have an office in Waltham, right over there, and we specialize in fossil fuel infrastructure, specifically building miles of pipeline to transport natural gas. Woo! This day, friends, has been long in coming. By expanding our Algonquin gas transmission pipeline to transport more fracked gas through Massachusetts, we intend to abide by our motto of energy for debt. This is indeed a milestone for the company, actively digging, building, and locking our way into climate chaos, especially for younger and future generations, and those least privileged in our world. We've worked long and we've worked hard. Spectre is now worthy of a new name, Spectre Energy. At Spectre Energy, we are committed to seeing the worst effects of climate change. Our business model of limitless fossil fuel consumption depends on it, and we take this commitment very seriously. In order to deliver the type of devastation that some of our associates would love to see, our company, like the rest of the gas industry, has worked tirelessly to make sure that the public views natural gas as a safe fuel source. Well, today, we are proud to say that there is no possible way that is true. To make sure that we do our part in accelerating the warming of the planet, we at Spectre did our homework. According to research published this year in Nature, scientists believe that carbon emissions must peak by 2016, 3 years from now, for us to have any hope of avoiding catastrophic climate change. Now, you might ask, as a company that relies on carbon being emitted into the atmosphere, will this affect our business? It is my pleasure to reassure you that if all continues according to plan, it certainly won't. Because we intend to build more infrastructure that would commit the world to increased emissions long after the 2016 deadline has passed us by. The choice is clear. We can either ensure that today's youth inherit a planet with a radically altered climate, or we stop using natural gas. It's a no-brainer. Ask yourselves, what's the point of having a livable climate if we don't power our homes with gas? We wouldn't see the point either. Now, we at Spectre Energy would love to create a world powered primarily by natural gas. And with the way that fracking is spreading into more communities across this great nation, we believe that this world will soon be possible. Interestingly enough, an intergovernmental organization called the International Energy Agency conducted a study in 2011 of what a world powered primarily by natural gas would look like. When we finally got around to reading it, we were shocked. It said that such a world would likely experience a temperature increase of over 6 degrees Fahrenheit. That amount of warming, 6 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit, scientists say, is beyond adaptation and would likely devastate the ecosystems that we need to survive. When we read this, we all looked at each other in the Spectre office and agreed that we don't have to settle for 6 degrees Fahrenheit of warming. We're gonna shoot for 10. How are we going to do it, you might ask? Spectre has bitten off more than they can chew, you might say. Well, with the proposed expansion of our Algonquin gas transmission pipeline, we will be able to move a huge glut of fracked gas from communities in Pennsylvania and elsewhere right here to your doorstep. The permit is already under review by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. You see, we at Spectre are doing our part to meet our climate change goals. We'll have so much more capacity to distribute gas, we won't know what to do with it. Actually, we do know what we're going to do with it. After we expand the Algonquin pipeline, we will turn a liquid natural gas import terminal on the South Shore to an export terminal to ship the gas to foreign countries where we can fetch a higher price for it, further addicting Massachusetts and the rest of the world to our product. Now that's what I call killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Continuing to use gas makes climate change inevitable. And at Spectre, we openly embrace that. Sometimes I don't think of us as a gas company so much as a climate change company. By expanding the Algonquin pipeline, we will rake in a whole new level of profit and further commit the world to our favorite fossil fuel, natural gas. You see, it's a win-win. We win twice. As we like to say at Spectre Energy, natural gas is needed. As our plans are approved without much public concern and more pipelines are built, we help those communities who are moving away from fossil fuels by bringing them gas whether they like it or not. In this way, we're meeting demand, our demand, for more profit. And by bringing more gas to more households, we can say that communities' demand for our product is forcing us to lay more pipeline in the name of public good. The truth is that our expanded pipelines help to create the demand for our products, as more gas is brought to market and its costs are driven down. But it's very easy to say that communities demanded more gas and we, as humble servants of society, did the only humane thing that we could do and meet demand with supply. So when we say that natural gas is needed, we aren't actually lying. We rely on it. How else would we continue to make billions of dollars each year? Now, some groups have been disputing our claim that gas is a great bridge fuel that will carry our society until renewables are ready to use. Some have even called it a bridge to nowhere. We want to announce today that these groups are right. In our minds, natural gas is not a bridge. We see it as a destination. We have talked about gas as a bridge for quite a while, so long that even we started to believe it. But we always said, hey, renewables won't fetch us the profit that gas will. And we realized that we should call gas a bridge and plan all along for it to be a long-term destination. And as it becomes cheaper and people continue to believe it's safe enough to use, natural gas will de-incentivize investments in renewable technology deployment and research and make certain that we reach the beautiful, hot destination that we've all been waiting for. With that, I'd like to give the floor to Ida Said So, our central consultant as we've considered expansion. Ida understands the finer details of how we fit into the big picture of energy and climate change. We really owe her our success. Ida?
Thank you, Ernest. It's a beautiful day to be here in Waltham, and for me, a really surprising one. When Spectre asked me about the feasibility of expansion, let's be honest, I was negative. The research I was reading showed that people cared about having a livable planet, cared about the injustice that most most affected by climate change would have the least opportunity to do anything about it. About preserving life found uniquely, as far as we know, on this planet. And geez, if they didn't even think that much on it, I thought people would be at least up in arms about widespread gas leaks, putting them at risk for explosions in their homes and businesses. But through innovative information control, those nice smooth ads, Spectre has been able to overcome all of that. It has been a pleasure and an amazement to work with Spectre as they've made progress against all logic. Let me explain. Some have celebrated coal beginning to make its exit, but do they know that natural gas creates more greenhouse emissions per kilowatt of electricity or BTU of heat? The difference in carbon dioxide emissions upon burning is at least offset, but probably far outweighed by vast leakage in extraction sites and along pipelines, especially 200-year-old cast iron distribution lines in this area. Natural gas is composed almost entirely of methane, which over a 20-year time frame acts 105 times as potently as carbon dioxide to warm the planet. If only 3.2%, the highest estimate I've heard is 4.5% of gas used escaped, gas would be more deadly than coal. Preliminary surveys show that much more gas than that is leaking. This unaccounted for gas, companies have no incentive to stop it because ratepayers pick up the cost. In Massachusetts, people pay an extra $38.8 million each year for gas they don't use, but that jeopardizes their future. Still, Spectre, let's say, is making every effort to grow its infrastructure. like expanding the roof over a house when the one you have is leaking. It's clear that stopping natural gas in new gas infrastructure would be an investment in decades worth of emissions. Would be more effective to avoid climate chaos than closing a coal plant a few years early. A gas age is in fact a bridge to nowhere. It would commit us to a future of concentrated natural disasters, extreme scarcity of resources, drowning coastal cities, international refugees like never seen before, and human conflict. Renewable energy technologies are ready to be deployed now, but yet we still choose this. Impressive. I have to concur with my colleagues at Stanford in their assessment that the limitations in transitioning to renewables globally are entirely social and political, not economic or technological. And renewables and conservation techniques will only improve as externalities and direct costs of fossil fuels skyrocket. In the last quarter, Portugal got 70% of its energy from renewables. Cloudy Germany is lowering the cost of their peak energy with solar. In a study entitled Examining the Feasibility of Converting New York State's All-Purpose Energy Infrastructure to one using wind, water, and sunlight, Cornell and Stanford showed how the state of New York could generate all of its electricity from mixed renewables. A quantitative analysis of offshore wind by Stanford found that it could power the entire East Coast. But may we continue to broaden our gaslands despite the pleas of scientists. As Spectre has so well exemplified, backwards logic can continue to bring profits to the tycoons of the world. Thank you.
Yes, our ad campaigns really have been successful in assuring the public that natural gas is energy for life. Even the name natural gas is insincere. It would be more accurate to call it sinister gas, since it seems like a bridge to renewable age, but is actually undercutting any chances of transitioning to renewables. Or how about greenhouse gas? Since many people forget that burning gas is keeping us on track to warming the planet to inhospitable levels. No, wait, I got it. Unnatural gas. Most of the gas being extracted now comes from That's about as far from natural as you can get. So to recap, unnatural gas is the deadliest, most sinister fossil fuel that we could ever hope to sell to you. It will ensure that we as a society never muster up the investment needed to transition to renewables before we unleash the worst effects of climate change. We anticipate that this will occur long before most people realize that we never had time for a bridge fossil fuel in the first place. Gas is worse for the climate than coal. And our expansion of the Algonquin pipeline will further commit Massachusetts and the world to using unnatural gas. It's profitable, addictive, exploitative, sinister, volatile, and deadly. This is not energy for life. This is energy for death. Spectre energy. Energy for death. It has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Now, without further ado, I announce to you all, Spectre energy. Thank you for coming.